Hey guys, just waiting for Facebook. On Facebook. Hey guys, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think about which screen I want to focus on. That's when I want to focus on Facebook or YouTube. I'm stuck in two minds, but yeah, I think I'm going to focus on the YouTube one for this one, then Facebook for the next one. By the way, sorry if anyone posts on Facebook, therefore, because I'm not going to be able to reply to you till afterwards or whatever. So please forgive me for that one. By the way, it's your boy M.K.S here, back here with another video, part one of my plans for a Dyslexic Millionaires Network. I think a Dyslexic December. So I've thought about this for quite a while, but initially I had an idea for Dyslexic Millionaires Network, and I thought there could be a millionaires version. And yeah, I guess the last couple of videos, well, the last couple of days over the weekend, I was focusing on some negative stuff because it was the 13th, it'll be a Saturday, and also because, well, I guess part one wasn't that negative, but then when Celtic lost, I guess in part one I talked about some of my fears, including us losing or whether the manager's good enough, and hoping he'd prove us wrong. I'm still kind of hoping, but I don't know how long he should be given. Um, Maybe Celtic should look for a new manager for the new year if he can't perform, and get a new one in on Thursday the first. I'm sure it's the first on Thursday to get a new manager in. But anyway, uh, yeah, so they were a bit negative, but hopefully this one is going to be positive. Yeah, it took me a while to get around to this though. And starting off, well, actually, I might say this in the list. But yeah, these are pointers number 1 to 10. Yeah, I wanted to say that for some reason. I wanted to say about how on Saturday I focused on the negatives, and on Sunday I guess I did, and then I didn't get around to finishing parts 3 and 4 of what I was talking about for Celtic. And I'm hoping to finish part 3 on Thursday when Celtic next play, and then sorry, Wednesday. If I said Thursday, I meant Wednesday, and then part 4 on Sunday. But yeah, I finished the ones about my fears and things like that, and scary Saturdays and all that, Dyslexics to scare, and also trying to make it positive, like Dyslexics to make masks and costumes and things like that, to make and create those things. But anyway, hopefully this will be an inspirational video for people with dyslexia, but I'll do my best anyway. Here goes. So number 1, I thought I'd talk about the process of as much as possible about how I'd love for this to work, and I'm a bit fearful about whether I'm going to repeat a lot of things I talked about in the past, especially when I talked about a billionaires version of this, which was my initial idea a while back. And also tomorrow, I'm hoping, if I want us to talk about a trillionaires version, imagining if there's a trillionaire version of this in the future, dyslexic trillionaires, and all that kind of thing, if there was such a thing in the future. Yeah, I hope to come up with some new ideas, but I guess I'd love to get this started, and it'll be part of what I call Illionaires Networks. I'd love to have the trademark protection. So when I put the title in, I put M.K.S in brackets. For most of my project ideas, I put M.K.S in brackets just to show it's my idea initially. And also I put TM for trademark, because I want to trademark take the idea, and also C and R for copyright and rights reserved, respectively. And I put pound and dollar signs because I think I forgot to put the dollar sign actually. But anyway, I put even yen, and euros, and all that kind of thing, just to, because it's about, I guess it's about making money. Although I know I normally say, I'm not going to contradict myself here, because I know I say I'm not that materialistic, which is true, but making money to give to the things I support, like Italian football teams, and that kind of thing, like AC Monza, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Roma, and other Italian teams, and that kind of thing. But moving on, looking at the clock and realise I'm waffling along, so I'm going to crack on to point number 2. Again, I am a bit wary about repeating myself, but I have planned this for a while, so I thought I'd try and focus on this. So hope you'll bear with me. But I'm drinking this drink, by the way, which is by Levi Roots, a black British entrepreneur from the Caribbean originally, because I want to support Minority Mondays as well. I'd love for this network to learn from each other. Like, I think one of the things about also just about making money is also that it's not just the money. I think I've learned as I got older, it's not just paper money, which I always thought was like really important in the past, but it's about learning. So if you have the knowledge, if you know how to analyze, if you know the facts and how to analyze facts and stats, knowledge, really importantly, information and figures, which is all out there, but it's how to assess that and know how to take that information and whatnot to use it. I guess I think I've never been rich myself. I was going to say I put in brackets as well, not brackets, speech marks, the Mayor Millionaires Network, part jokingly, like tongue in cheek, since I haven't got a pot to pee in, as they say, or whatever. Funny enough, it was Oprah Winfrey who said that once. Or when Robert Kiyosaki was on her show, the financial guru, Robert Kiyosaki, who I often talk about. I don't really read books, but I watched some of his videos. But it would be interesting for people to read Rich Dad Poor Dad and think about whether you agree with the ideas on there or whether you think it's worth trying that. And also Simon Squibb, a fellow dyslexic. Robert Kiyosaki may be dyslexic, but he doesn't want to use the label. I think his teacher said he was dyslexic and all that, but he was like, I just find what you teach boring. That's why I don't learn it, but I want to learn more about how to make money and that kind of thing. But Simon Squibb, who talked about being dyslexic, along with Richard Branson, he's even worked with Richard Branson. I hope he joins the network, this particular network, Simon Squibb. Richard Branson said he's not a billionaire, but I guess if he is, he could join the billionaires version of this. But technically, I forgot to say, in order to join, I was meant to say in point number one, I'd love to get it started, but and to copyright it, trademark, take the ideas and all that kind of thing. Don't jump on my keyboard, baby. So I don't know if you can see my cat in there. It's a bit off screen. He's looking at my keyboard and my screen and all that kind of thing. But he's probably wondering what's going on. But in order to be a fully fledged member, just like I said with the billionaires version, for those who might not have seen that one, or those who might have forgotten, in order to join, you would have to fit the description other than me as a founder. I'd be the only, in this case, non-millionaire version. But in order to be part of it, in this case, you would have to be both dyslexic and a millionaire as well, both dyslexic and a millionaire. And I dream that they'll meet up, share ideas, learn from each other, invest together, and pool their money and resources together, and that kind of thing. I want you to come play with me, but anyway, yeah. So in order to join, you'd have to be both dyslexic and a millionaire. But I dream they'll teach. I almost forgot to say this point. Teach other dyslexics like how to be successful in their chosen field, maybe financially successful or whatever. Teach them about how to make money or whatever, or how to be motivated and that kind of thing. The thing of words something with them, like motivational Mondays and that kind of thing. Please give me a score out of 100 for this video. I'd love to know what people think, but I hope you won't be too harsh. Like they say 1%, but even if that's the case, I hope people will enjoy it, as I say, especially dyslexic people, and I hope it inspires people. Yeah, I think it would be cool if they learn from each other. So as well as the money and pooling money and resources together, I think the lessons they can learn from each other and people like me learning from them, and also teaching non-dyslexic, which I hope teaching dyslexics who are not millionaires. That could be financially how to make more money, or it could be how to be positive, or it could even be giving them a job or investing on their behalf, or teaching them about how to invest, or whatever it might be. It'd be interesting what they could teach other dyslexics and what other dyslexics want to learn. Number 3, I dream this will set me free with my other ideas, like help to be more freer. I was thinking about something about robots and how I say they can make us more free, and I can't think of anything more freeing. But I guess I was thinking I was being quite foolish, moronic. I was thinking moronic Mondays. I was being quite moronic in a way, foolish or whatever the difference is. Being a bit of a fool because I thought that. Don't roll my keyboard. I thought that never work with children and animals. They say, even though I love children and animals, but oh god, I thought that sorry, I wasn't sure. I was saying that robots, I often say that robots nowadays, I was thinking recently that they could do like our gardening, cleaning and tidying up, but apart from me, imagine someone saying, why don't you just hire, if you want someone to do that for you so you don't do it yourself, why don't you just hire a cleaner, a tidier up, an organizer, a gardener. I don't really care about all those things, but or whatever, but it's what other people care about. But I guess you could pay someone to do that sort of stuff, and I suppose it depends whether robots are actually cheaper or not. But dyslexic millionaires, along with billionaires, could, or maybe in the future even trillionaires, could fund people in across Africa, for instance, or wherever around the world. I say Africa because I'd love to help them to empower their economies to build those robots or whatever. But yeah, hopefully they can invest. And I sometimes wonder, like, what if investing could be an easy way to make money, and so that's free us up to do things we want to do. And if we can work together as a network to make life easier for ourselves and each other. Number 4, I dream we'll make peace, not war, as well. If and when this gets off the ground, it would be great for Christmas, I guess, to start projects up like this. But I hope it will empower other dyslexic people. Like, I think there's so few jobs, and if you're someone who has a learning disability like dyslexia or dyscalculia or whatever, I imagine it would be hard to count to be a millionaire. But honestly, I imagine it's even harder because if you're a bit slower than other workers and there's more competition for jobs, they'll pick those who are faster or whatever. And I think it's going to be so hard to get jobs now that it's already became hard, unfortunately, and it's going to become even harder. So I think in the past you could get a safe, secure job for life or whatever, a steady job, whatever. But it's going to be a lot. People say, like, if you turn up early to work, show your face early or whatever, show up and put the effort in and all that kind of thing, then they're going to be the ones who keep the jobs, or get the jobs, and maybe keep them even if robots take over so many other jobs or whatever, or when there's so many competitions for fewer jobs, which could cause anarchy and chaos, heaven forbid. But I'm sure it will, but I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, a part of me thinks if you're going to be that hardworking anyway, well, that's a swear word to me, but when you put them together anyway, but if you're going to be that industrious and hardworking and show up on time and basically be punctual, need very little sleep. Like, someone told me he knows someone with 4 jobs and he only needs 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And I thought, why wouldn't you set up your own business if that was the case? Something that you sort of have ownership over. So I think the risks, like before, people might say it's really risky to start a business, and of course, you can probably still say that now, but they might say business, a job, you can get a job for life and you just apply and whatever. But I think with less jobs being around, it's much more difficult, and therefore I don't know. I think it's obviously there's a risk, and not everyone's probably cut out for it, and it is scary for a lot of people. But hopefully being part of a network would help. In this case, for dyslexic millionaires, hopefully they can grow even more and like work together to achieve more. I guess you could argue that what is this network giving them that they wouldn't already have, and most millionaires probably already have networks and multiple streams of income and learn from each other, mentors and all that kind of thing, which I hope to come to. But hopefully this will be an extra portal to help each other to grow even more. And that kind of thing. Sorry, I always forget to clean my keypad. I don't know why it gets dirty, because I never really eat when I use my keypad, but anyway, I'm well off track. So, but yeah, I dream we'll make peace projects, and I discourage making money from like suffering, including wars or things like that. Although I do believe people should have a choice in life. And on that note, I love to lower tax. I could say point with about having lower taxes, privatisation, deregulation of industries, lower taxes, and things like that, and basically more freedoms, freedom of choice. I don't like it when the government gets too involved, like the state making too many regulations or whatever. And who knows the unintended consequences or knock-on effects? Like, people might say, "Oh, it's really good to give renters more rights and to take on these greedy landlords." But then, if you make it difficult for other people to invest in property, you never know. You might get big companies, huge companies. Not that I've got anything against them, but you might get people like BlackRock or others building those, investing in all the properties, and other people who want to invest in property will be priced out, and it will be more difficult. But those who have huge bank accounts can afford to do it, so they will own all the property. So people might think, in the guise of actually being anti-capitalist and making things difficult for landlords, they might think they're doing a good thing, and helping the poor, but it might actually backfire. A lot of unintended consequences of like socialism, communism, things like that. I'd love to know what you think as ever. Please feel free to fire away. Point number 3. I support freedom of speech and freedom of expression, freedom of force, and that kind of thing. But I'd love to be able to monopolise. I guess this would be like the Dyslexic Billionaires version, Dyslexic Billionaires Network, but a lower version. But number 5, I'm glad I remember this one just now. Because sometimes when I come into these videos, I think, but I forget what I'm going to say. Sorry. But just like with the Billionaires version, which I talked about last Tuesday, just under a week ago, I dreamed this will be worth a billion or more, or maybe several billions. So that's one of my big dreams with it. But I also hope it will inspire other dyslexics, and I hope it will empower dyslexic millionaires again if they pool their money and resources and that kind of thing together, facts and analysis of the facts and stats, how to use those facts and stats and that knowledge and info and those figures and whatnot to do even more, and to help a more diverse group of people. I talk about supporting minority owned entrepreneurs, but yeah, say entrepreneurs with Black and Asian and mixed race and other entrepreneurs with dyslexia, achieving more and helping them, investing in other dyslexics. I guess in the Billionaires version, I imagine there wouldn't be any, as far as I'm aware, there's no non-white male dyslexic billionaires. They might be one or two. I'd be very surprised. I haven't heard any, but in terms of the millionaires or millionaires version, I've heard of one or two who are POC, people of colour, or even women, like Barbara Corcoran, Emma Grede, how do you pronounce her name? I think it's ironic that I mentioned in the past. I think it's ironic if you add a Y to her name, you could probably pronounce it greedy. But if she gave her money to charity, as much of it as possible, but I suppose that is her choice and what she feels comfortable with. I'd love to encourage philanthropy, but it would be their choice. They might want to make even more money, which would be their choice. So when I think about these networks, I wish to make like the Dyslexic Billionaires Network. Some of the people might think, I want to make even more money. I want to become even richer and richer. Personally, I'd love to have 10% equity in each of these things, and trademark, take the ideas and that kind of thing. But my 10% I've talked about would go towards my 5 causes. Actually, funny enough, I'm mentioning it point number 5. So benefiting Tangible, Celtic, libertarianism, people from former colonies, and tackling poverty and events, suffering and spreading peace, love, joy, hope, and happiness. I'll drink that, as I say. There's something I was going to say, but I'll wait a little bit later. So I know I do struggle to get to the point. Please bear with me. Number 6, as I say, I love for networks generally and any ideas I have, networks like this or any other ideas I have to benefit Itan football, Celtic, as I just mentioned, and things like that. And I suppose working as hard as necessary. I mean, I find hard work a swear word, but if I was part of the network, let's say, of dyslexic millionaires or whatever, dyslexic millionaires and struggle billionaires, then I guess they would be able to tell me what it takes, how much hard work it takes, or what to work on. Because I'm sure lots of people work hard, but they probably don't. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be successful, depending on how you define success. I think the definition of success is, I suppose, different to different people, but I think it's towards an end goal. So to me, success is like Italian teams winning, Celtic winning, libertarianism winning, helping people in former colonies, tackling poverty and those things. I talked about achieving my 5 causes, which I hope to dedicate my life to. Like Simon Squibb, who I mentioned earlier, asks the question, what's your goal? And his book is, what's your dream? And he asks, and his book is about what's your dream. But for me, it's difficult because I have so many dreams. It's like today I was procrastinating so much, trying to avoid procrastination. That's why it took so long to get around to this. But moving on, number 7, I'd love to find a mentor who says, I found a way to make money, which is really easy. One of my dreams in life is to find an easy way, or even easy ways to make money, as I talked about before, and robots do all our crappy jobs. I think I say that word, and things to make it a better place. But I was thinking about Celtic. The point I mentioned a minute or so ago was that I was going to say, I forgot to say in the intro, answer going point number one. I imagine when I was talking about like on the weekend, I covered some negative videos for the 13th, and also because Celtic unfortunately lost. But I imagine my mood would be a lot better. I'm not too sad about it, but I'm a bit worried for the future. And I'm kind of sad because it is a trophy. We could have won. It's like the second final in a row where we've messed it up. Last time was probably even worse because it was on penalties. I was at my sister's wedding, and it's like quite cultural, like an Indian sort of wedding, Indian style wedding with a fusion or a mix of like English, mainly Indian, and Arabic as well, or mainly Indian. But there was a lot of cultural stuff in it, and I hope my sister don't mind. But we went to where her and my now brother-in-law, now obviously, first had their first date. And I was at that pub and I was having a good time and I was enjoying myself and that kind of thing, even though I'm not a big fan of weddings. But this was a fun part of it, even though I don't drink alcohol. But it was interesting. I thought this pub was really nice. And my mum's boyfriend, I asked him about the score of football and he showed me. And I thought it was full time. And I was like, yes, I thought Celtic had won. But we blew it. And later on I found out we lost. And that really ruined the mood. And then we lost to St Mirren yesterday. So that's a couple of times where it's really ruined the mood because a part of me would love to see Celtic win like 150, 200 trophies or whatever in the future if the world lasts that long. But at the moment, it's we are on 120. But I think 120. But we could have been on 121 or 122 by now. So I don't coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's all ifs and buts or whatever. And that's where life goes, and it's a first world problem. But I'm also disappointed for Japan, like when they went through all these, and they're going through like an earthquake and a potential tsunami, which hopefully won't happen. But it could trigger a tsunami. I hope to God it won't, or it hasn't, or whatever. I was even hoping Celtic would be able to donate that money. I'm going a bit off track, but maybe Dyslexic millionaires could. Sorry, I'm not at home on my own with just my cat, so I'm probably looking over there a lot and getting freaked out if I hear a noise or whatever, heaven forbid. But if I hear a creak or whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's that? Oh my gosh, what's that? And all that kind of thing. Like my friend said when they heard my video back, when I played a video clip, not video clip, a voice clip, sorry. When they heard my voice back, they said, what was that noise? I said, what do you mean? And they played it back to me and said, well, there's a noise, and they said, you have a ghost. And then they said about demons, and I shouldn't talk about that sort of stuff because I'm getting freaked out. But God willing, and go and speed, all will be well. I know sometimes I joke about Ouija boards, but I wouldn't touch that sort of stuff. I know I'm not that religious, but I do believe in God. I'm going way off track, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'd love for dyslexic millionaires to invest into, even donate to and sponsor the Italian League, Serie A, Coppa Italia, the Italian Super Cup, Italian teams like AC Monza, Inter Milan, and AC Milan, Roma, and other Italian teams, and also Celtic, and that kind of thing, and hopefully help them in the future. But I really want this new manager of Celtic to do well, never sign him again. But I guess time will tell. He's not. I think a lot of people already want him out. A lot of people didn't want him in the first place, so it's a difficult one. They say he's our Russell Martin, but sorry for those who are not in football. But yeah, I dream that. I'll be talking about like what the Dyslexics could contribute to Italian football and Celtic and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm gutted, excuse the expression, that Celtic messed it up. But and what the worrying thing is, I don't think we even played that well. I think St Mirren probably could have beaten us by more, but we should be able to beat them like financially and things like that. So people are not happy with the board and how they're spending money. Yeah, maybe a consortium of dyslexic entrepreneurs could buy them out or whatever, or have shares in them at least. But yeah, going back to like mentors and things like that, I'd love to have a mentor who says like, this is an easy way, or these are easy ways or to make money, or when I wrote it down and I found a way to manifest or whatever to make it easy, or maybe not. I mean, some people might say there's no way without hard work, but I like to keep hope alive. But I'm hoping that if we work together, we'll make it easier for ourselves. And maybe robots could make it easier, and maybe they could be cheaper than a gardener, someone to clean or tidy or whatever. I mean, I'm a messy hoarder, and I don't really go in my garden because there's too many bugs, it's too cold, I get too bored too easily, and things like that. So we don't really have enough warm days, and I get too cold too quickly. But we don't have enough warm days for me to go in my garden. So, and gardening, I have enough difficulties in life to learn stuff like that. Anyway, depending on my laziness, I guess. But I love to work smart instead of hard, I suppose I should say. But moving on, number 8, I think there's a benefit of working together in a group. I know I said recently about just looking at the clock in the corner. I was thinking, I know I said recently that about at least I have managed to not half but reduce the time of my videos, so from 30 minutes or half an hour to 20 minutes. But now I'm blown again. Yeah, I'd love to see more POC, people of colour, minorities, women, and a more diverse representation of dyslexic entrepreneurs, dyslexic millionaires, and that kind of thing. Maybe more dyslexic professionals as well, and that kind of thing. And promoting peace and positivity, peace and love, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, with these ideas of mine when it comes to networks, like including the Dyslexic Millionaires and the Dyslexic Billionaires version and whatnot, if maybe we would have like a CEO or MD, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, CFO, Chief Financial Officer, or look at what other businesses do and say, what did they do well? What could we implement that they've done? Or whatever, what ideas could we sort of copy and imitate from Microsoft or Apple or big companies? What do big companies have in common or whatever? And again, I think that being part of a team, they can learn a lot from each other, that kind of thing. But yeah, I hope they'll show a positive side of the sector as well, as I say. My cat finds me bored and can't sleep now. And help us to market our goods and things like that, or whatever. But I'd say the reason why I mention that is, like, let's say I support peace projects, but if other members like the MD, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, or CFO or whatever it might be says, actually we can profit from war, I wouldn't be able to override their decision necessarily. Maybe it'd be like a cooperative. I'm not sure if I would want it to run like a cooperative, one person, one vote, or people who put more money and time and ideas and effort into it would make more of a say and have more of an equity, and also have more of a say on how it would run. So I can't guarantee that whether it would invest in wars or not. I mean, nowadays with ethical consumerism and things like that, it probably would find that's not a good idea. But I think if you are not ethical, I think so many companies, even what I've just said, there's so many companies, unfortunately, who are making money from wars. Anyway, I'm going to move on to point number 9. So yeah, supporting entrepreneurs and professionals. I was even thinking about like there could be a network for dyslexics with a six-figure salary or more, or there could be for professionals, dyslexic professionals to network together, or dyslexics in different industries or different groups who have things in common. And that kind of thing reminds me of a social media idea, but I'm not going to mention that right now. And number 10, I hope it'll be an inspiration for young people, which is quite a lot. Young people with dyslexia. There's something I hope to cover quite a lot in part 2 and possibly 3 and struggle 4 as well. But yeah, I hope you'll look out for those. And sorry, let's try and stop baffling finally. And I'm out. And peace and love.